Back up a little bit, please. Thank
How
you.
can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
What just happened in that courtroom left everyone stunned. And for once, it wasn't because of Diddy's power, wealth, or fame. Sean "Diddy" Combs, one of the most iconic names in hip-hop, is now making headlines for something no one saw coming. Not for another business venture or a platinum record, but for a trial that's pulling back the curtain on decades of alleged secrets, power plays, and deeply disturbing accusations. But it wasn't just the trial that turned heads. It was who delivered the most jaw-dropping moments so far. A video surfaced from none other than Diddy's own son, Christian Combs. What was supposed to be a normal piece of personal footage exploded into a viral bombshell, played right in the middle of the courtroom. And what happened next? Diddy lost it. Witnesses described his reaction as explosive, emotional, and completely unexpected. And just like that, the spotlight shifted from the accusations to a father's breaking point, caught in real time in front of the world. So what was in that video? Why did it matter so much? And how did this twist change everything about the case unfolding right now in New York? Once you see what's really going on behind the scenes, you'll realize that this trial is about way more than just guilt or innocence. Let's get into it.
I literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, you know, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
When Diddy walked into the courtroom on May 12th, 2025, the air was electric. Cameras flashed, whispers filled the halls. Some came to witness history, others came hoping for answers. But no one, not even the prosecution, expected just how chaotic this trial would quickly become. The courtroom was packed wall to wall. Reporters, legal experts, and even a few celebrities filled the benches, hanging onto every word. Federal prosecutors wasted no time laying out their case, and it was brutal. They accused Diddy of orchestrating what they called a decades-long criminal empire, masked by his music, fashion, and entertainment success. Words like racketeering, trafficking, and witness intimidation weren't just mentioned, they were central to the case. And as the prosecutor listed the charges, you could feel the tension climb. According to investigators, this wasn't just about shady business deals or partying too hard. This was about power, manipulation, and a disturbing pattern of behavior that had allegedly followed Diddy for years. They described hidden layers of control, secret settlements, and a network of people who stayed silent until now. Diddy, dressed in a sharp black suit, sat stone-faced, but observers noted his jaw clenching and his fingers tapping the table throughout the opening remarks. To the public, he's always been a larger-than-life mogul. Confident, untouchable, always in control. But in that courtroom, the energy was different. And then came the twist. The prosecution hinted that family members, even those closest to him, might play a surprising role in the proceedings. The room shifted. That's when people started whispering about the rumored video, the one involving his own son. No one knew what was coming next, but one thing was clear. This wasn't going to be a typical celebrity trial. This was about to get personal.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So,
So you think you know he's innocent?
1,000%.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. You know, maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, you know, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish that.
No one in the courtroom was ready for what came next. Just as the prosecution began to establish their narrative of control, power, and silence, a new piece of evidence emerged, something that hadn't been leaked to the public. And when the judge approved its introduction, jaws dropped. It was a video footage captured not by investigators, but by Diddy's own son, Christian Combs. At first, it looked like nothing out of the ordinary. A private moment, a casual clip. Christian and his girlfriend were seen partying at what appeared to be a private residence, surrounded by luxury, music, and friends. But there was something off. In the background, a voice, familiar, slurred, aggressive. The timestamp suggested the video was recorded during a time when Diddy was allegedly supposed to be somewhere else, away from the public under media scrutiny. But here he was, reportedly in the same house, just out of frame. The prosecution claimed that the voice was Diddy's. And what does it say? It wasn't just a party joke or a random outburst. It hinted at influence, manipulation, and behind-the-scenes actions that contradicted his legal team's narrative. Gasps echoed in the courtroom. Some said you could hear Christian's voice shift, almost like he realized what he'd accidentally captured. But the real shock came when Diddy saw the clip. Sources inside the courtroom say his entire demeanor changed. He leaned forward, clenched his fists, and at one point mouthed something to his lawyer. His jaw was tight, his eyes locked on the screen. Then, the moment that made headlines. As the audio got clearer, Diddy slammed his hand on the table. Not hard enough to cause a scene, but loud enough for people around him to flinch. Court officers stepped forward. His attorneys whispered urgently, trying to calm him down. The judge paused proceedings. What was supposed to be a routine evidentiary moment had spiraled into a psychological grenade. The man who built an empire off of confidence and composure cracked. But here's where things got even more complicated. Christian's video wasn't intended for court. According to insiders, it was originally posted to a private story, seen by just a few friends. Someone leaked it, and somehow it landed in the hands of federal prosecutors. So the questions started flying. Was this a setup? Did Christian know what he was doing? And more importantly, what does this say about what goes on behind closed doors in the Combs empire? Whatever the truth is, the video lit a fire under an already explosive trial, and the fallout wasn't over yet.
And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
As the video echoed through the courtroom speakers, all eyes weren't just on Diddy, they were on his children. Christian Combs, the son at the center of the video, sat frozen. His expression was unreadable, caught somewhere between confusion, embarrassment, and quiet panic. Sources say he didn't know the footage would be used against his father, let alone played publicly in court. Next to him, his siblings looked visibly shaken. Justin, Quincy, and the twins, long shielded from the media storm, were suddenly thrust into the very heart of it. And as their father tensed up in front of the judge, something in the room shifted. This wasn't just a legal battle anymore. It was a family unraveling in real time. Those closest to the Combs family say this trial has caused deep fractures, ones that may not be repairable. While the world watches headlines and court transcripts, behind the scenes, there's a quiet emotional war unfolding. Some members of the family reportedly urged Diddy to take a plea early on. Others believed he could beat the charges, but no one expected a moment like this, where Christian's video would turn into one of the prosecution's most talked about pieces of evidence. And here's the part that really shocked people. Christian hasn't posted anything publicly since the video surfaced. No tweets, no statements, just silence. A silence that's raising questions of its own. Is he protecting his dad? Is he feeling guilty? Or has he been told to stay quiet for legal reasons? Meanwhile, fans noticed something odd. Some of Christian's recent Instagram stories, once full of luxury trips, parties, and designer fits, have been quietly deleted. The few comments left on his page are flooded with everything from support to blame. Some call him brave, others accuse him of betrayal. But maybe the most heartbreaking moment came when one of the younger Combs twins, seated near the back of the courtroom, was seen quietly wiping tears from her eyes during a recess. Her brother gently put his arm around her, trying to offer comfort. It was a brief, silent moment, but one that said more than any statement ever could. Family has always been a huge part of Diddy's image, from his public appearances with his kids to the way he celebrated his late ex, Kim Porter. Diddy portrayed himself as a fiercely loyal father. But now, under the weight of these allegations, that image is cracking. And this trial, it's forcing everyone, including his own children, to confront a version of him they may have never truly seen before.